Hello and welcome to the Southbound Sports Show. I'm your host, Richie Leahy, here with my co-host, Matty B. And we got a big show for you on a big night, the NFL trade deadline. I know it runs up against the election, and I don't feel like it's happened before, at least not the presidential election, but then isn't it always the first Tuesday of the month? So I know we've done shows during the election, but I don't remember the deadline lining up.
Yeah, I don't think everything has lined up.
It has to be because of the new schedule. So maybe they should rethink it. Although maybe they wanted it to be on this day. Because the Steelers trade for Mike Williams, and I'm immediately thinking, which Mike Williams? That's like a common receiver name.
There's 40 Mike Williams.
Yeah, if you want your kid to be in the NFL, you're like, name him Mike Williams. A good chance. Better than other names. Because like some guys have such a unique name, like Kelsey. No one knew who. I didn't even know one person named Kelsey as the last name. Then Jason Kelsey stealing people's phones, smashing it on the ground, and I thought, man, he should have punched that guy.
But and you know what? I'll take it a step further, and you name any NFL player, like if you have the athleticism to make it to the National Football League, at what point in your brain do you just go, hey, I want to fight this guy?
Well,
like I don't even care if it's a punter, like or a kicker. They're going to pummel you.
Remember Mike Tyson on that plane a couple years ago? We talked about on the show. I don't think anything happened because of that. The guy was harassing him, and didn't you just punch him in the face a couple times?
Yeah, he turned around and punched him.
Like Kelsey smashed his phone. I was thinking, because I know how the legal system works, like he's going to sue Kelsey for what? Probably for like emotional damage or something. But even just trying to get his phone fixed, that's not going to happen. Because till you go to small claims courts, he'd probably have to represent himself. I mean, he has enough footage that maybe he would just send him a new phone, I would guess. Like, hey, here's a new phone. Sorry for smashing it. Hopefully you learned your lesson. Because the kid looked like he was going to cry, and he was trying to like fight him. But it wasn't like a real fight, because the guy like breaking it up was barely touching him. If that kid wanted to run up and punch Kelsey in the back of the head, he could have. Right? You can't convince me otherwise. The video is funny because like an ambulance pulled up, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, is this foreshadowing? Like, did they get the call? Like, hey, Kelsey's going to punch some kid. Get over here. So I thought that was a funny coincidence. But I honestly, there's no consequences these days, it feels like. Everyone assumes, like, that's going to be caught on camera. I'll be okay. I'm going to get in this guy's face. And he kept calling him Travis Kelsey. So I'm like, did this kid even know the difference? But I'll be honest, I'm over it. I'm over some of like the, I don't even know what to say. Like they're trying to make it too commercial, I guess. Like I don't like the Kelsey brothers being on commercials, having their own podcast and TV show, and like doing all this stuff and being everywhere. Like it's fine, do one thing, but then don't be everywhere. Like I just can't take it. It's almost like some of the catchphrases that the NFL does. Like I forget which one. Oh, like using a cheat code. I saw that come up. Like, oh, this guy's using a cheat code playing a game because look at him jump over this other receiver. It was like some recruit. And I'm like, the kid is 6'8", it looks like, against a 5'5" dude. I can catch the ball. I'm 6'2". I can catch the ball over that guy. It's not using a cheat code just because he's like a man against a little boy. If I went out against a bunch of middle schoolers, yeah, I could be a cheat code too. They'd be like, look at that giant fat dude up there. We can't even tackle that guy. That's what they'd be saying if I was running around in a middle school right now. So that kind of stuff, like when they're trying to promote the NFL, sometimes it's just over the top. And I think, who is this for? What are you doing? And that's maybe why they buried the trade deadline. They didn't care. Put it up against election, see what happens. Kelsey, don't care. No one knows who Jason Kelsey is. What's the other guy, Whitworth? Or who did he even play for? I don't know if you saw, like he's on the Amazon Thursday night things. The reason I brought him up, I was watching something totally random, and it was like Whitworth comments on the fashion attire of like NFL, and I'm like, who the hell is clicking on that? First off, isn't he just a lineman or something? Because he's the biggest guy on the show, right? I know Richard Sherman. Some of the other guys I don't know. And why would I care what he's commenting on other NFL guys, what they're wearing? Hashtag fire, Matt. Embarrassing. Who's it for? I don't understand. Unless he's like some stud and women love him and that was for women. I don't know. They just targeted it wrong on me. No, like, this guy wants to know what NFL guys are wearing. Like, no, I really don't. I don't care. So that's my pre-NFL rant of things that annoyed me recently over the past weekend. Whitworth commercials, Kelsey fights. Just fight the kid. If he's annoying you, then see what happens. He's going to get a legal battle either way, right? Unless, I mean, I guess he smashed a phone. That's not like, he can't, it'd have to be emotional damage. So at least he can't get him for physical violence. I'm assuming Kelsey would have like broke his jaw or something, right? He was in a position where he's hand fighting every day, right? He's seen it all, brother. You can't come at him with a spin move or anything. He's seen it all. Linemen are hand fighting every single day, just like a boxer or an MMA guy. There's no way that kid in the Penn State hoodie was trained at all to deal with that. He only quit playing like last year. It's not like he's been out of the game for 50 years. So, anything you want to hit before we go into the trade deadline stuff?
I saw the video a couple different times, and it just amazes me that to try to have your couple minutes of fame and then to have it that way, where then like everybody just sees you like borderline bawling. Like, why would you do that to yourself?
That's going to be someone's kid.
Like, I think I would punch my own kid if he was like, "Hey, what'd you do? What'd you do over the weekend?" "Oh, I went to an NFL game and then tried to bully an NFL player, and then he broke my phone."
It wasn't even. That's what I was confused about. It wasn't even NFL, dude. That was the Ohio State Penn State game. Why is Kelsey there? He was there for some promo. Why? He's not known for anything in college. I don't even know where he went. His brother, I think, went to Cincinnati because he was at he was like the guest picker. Travis did.
Yeah.
I want to say, I don't know where Jason played.
I want to say they both were Cincinnati.
What the hell is he doing at a Penn State, Ohio State game?
Same thing everyone else is. He was
fighting kids and stealing phones and breaking them? Because I didn't know that happened at Penn State games. Yes,
you've been to Penn State games. You know, it's like the Wild West. Anything goes.
It's like people tell me it's like Children of the Corn. You're in a field. You don't know what's going to happen. Random people walking around. Some of those Penn State guys, they wear those masks. If you're a diehard Penn State fan, you know what I'm talking about. Like the old time Joe Paterno, like football helmet mask guys. Are they even still around? I don't even know if I've seen them recently. But that's where I just don't know why some of these celebs show up and he's like tailgating and he was clearly trying to get content or something. Bro, stay in your lane. No one cares why you're there. What are you doing, a Chunky Soup promo? Get out of there. At least have it be like, if it was Maurice Clarett or someone from the Ohio State side that was getting harassed, then it would be like, okay, that makes sense. But the Kelsey thing, don't come to Big Ten country. Get out of here. No one wants to see you here. The other thing I'm going to talk about, this is probably going to be, we'll get people to unsubscribe from the show. I'm tired of Kirk Herbstreit's dog. I don't know why.
Welcome to the club.
I don't know why the dog is everywhere. I guess the dog has cancer. Unfortunate, right? No one wants to hear that someone, or I guess your pet, has cancer. But the dog being the focal point of the show is so absurd that, I mean, I've tuned out, bro. I've cut it. I don't even have ESPN Plus anymore. I made the change to like the Disney bundle. I said, I'm done. Every game down here in the ACC network is blacked out. Can't watch any NC State stuff. It's all blacked out. Can't watch the Hurricanes. All blacked out. What am I paying for? Like I was talking to someone over the weekend. We're like trying to figure out what the Hurricanes games are on and stuff. And he was saying like, you need like 3 different apps. It's like, no, I don't. I don't need any. because I'm done. If I can't watch a game, I'm not signing up. They're like, well, we used to be able to sign up to Bally Sports. I'm like, they're bankrupt. They got bought out by like one of the draft sites, I guess he was telling me, or Fantasy Pros or something. I don't even know which one it was. So I'm probably way off base here. But then I go to game day. McAfee's like so over the top. I can't watch it anymore. And I liked McAfee before. Like he had his podcast. I don't listen to too many podcasts anymore. But like I liked when he came on the Bob and Tom show when he was just starting out. Pat McAfee, like going to game day though, terrible. And Kirk Herbstreit's dog, terrible. Like I don't care. It's almost like an emotional support dog, right? I wonder if he was like, people are bullying me and being mean. And they're like, I'm going to quit. And they're like, no, you're not. Well, then I'm going to get a dog. Okay, that's great content. Like that has to be how the convo went. Because Ohio State fans are tearing him up for not sticking up for Urban Meyer. Day starts choking, right? Michigan was the national championship. Kirk Herbstreit's not going all in on Harbaugh, right? He wasn't one of the ones that was leaning into Michigan last year. Pete Thamel or whatever, which he gives nothing to the game day too. Oh, I'm afraid to go to the big house. They might yell at me. Wait, someone going to punch him? Kelsey's not walking around there taking your phone, bro. What's going to happen to you? You have 100 cameras on you. Like, what are you talking about? But then Herbstreit getting harassed. Like, he was getting harassed by Ohio State fans so much that he said that he moved out of Ohio. And now Florida State fans are coming after him. I don't know if the dog was before Florida State, right? Had to have been. I feel like that dog's been around everywhere. And I just can't take it.
I think he had it before, but then it became this big to-do with the playoff snub, because then it just became, well, I have my dog. I need to have my dog with me. I'm just really anxious.
Yeah, and even in the NFL, that's where I think I saw it. They had like a couple seconds of just a dog laying there in the studio, and I thought, why? It's almost like Amazon doesn't really release their numbers, but they always have like these weird concerts after the Thursday night game, and I wonder what the ratings are for them. Like, does anyone even watch? Who is it for? People to like, leave on at the bar? Like, oh yeah, I'll watch some weird concert DJ thing. Oh, where's Herbstreit's dog? Said no one ever. I've never heard one person. I mean, we talk a lot of sports with a lot of people, right? No one has ever brought up Herbstreit's dog to me. I didn't even bring it up to you until tonight. I didn't even tell you I was going to bring it up. That's how annoyed I was looking through my timeline at Twitter at NFL deals, and I'm seeing Herbstreit dog updates. Like, I'm sorry, but I do not care. People will probably unsubscribe. They're like, this guy doesn't care about a dog. Why? No one else on TV has their dog.
I think they didn't
has,
just...
What? Pete Feinbaum. Or Paul Feinbaum. He's on game day now, I think. Right? I talked about Mark Ingram annoying me on the Fox Big Show. I liked it much better when it was Reggie Bush. No offense. Because it was more professional show. I just want to see highlights. I don't even want to see the sad emotional stories, right? Get the whatever. I don't even know what it's called, like the hype man. You don't need that. The fans provide the hype. Show me more fan stuff, like Charles Woodson, like, and then they had the one time they had a basketball guy come into the crowd. He was like slam dunking over fans. Like, show me something like that. Like, it was like a school that was known for basketball. They had some of the basketball guys show up and they're slam dunking once on the Fox pregame show. Cool. Show me more fan content. Like, Charles Woodson's always down there with the fans on like a mini football field, calling people out. And do that. Don't bring a hype man onto the set that's always yelling and over the top. And honestly, Fox, why even have any Alabama guys on there at all? I mean, the game day show is weird because it's like an Ohio State and a Michigan guy talking SEC football. And everyone attacks Desmond saying he's an idiot. So that hits home to me. because at least my man picked us to win the national championship and it happened. Everyone called him dumb. Remember, it wasn't his Final Four like Pitt, A&M, Michigan, and someone else, though. It was like over the top, just crazy. But this year, it could have happened. So, I know we haven't talked any sports, just me complaining about TV and dogs and commercials. But I don't care. It's election night. It's crazy. You guys, I was surprised you even had internet, dude. Things are down where you're from. Pennsylvania.
Well, the crazy thing is I went to vote, and like as I'm trying to get my ballot, they're like, yeah, these things on the side aren't going to scan, so we have to do something else. It's like, oh, this is great.
I got mine scanned. I stood there. I'm like, now what? They're like, you can go. I'm like, all right. I got my sticker on. I'm ready to go. I'm wearing it around proudly. At the same time, the food line was emptying their septic tank, and I thought, this is fitting. Like, it just smells like crap. Come get your vote in while they're pumping the septic out. Awesome, bro. Great timing. I wonder if they planned that on purpose. But yeah, now to the NFL draft, the trade deadline. I mean, I'm getting confused. They're throwing me off. Mike Williams comes to the Steelers, and then they get a pass rusher from Green Bay. I don't know if it moves the needle for me. I just don't even know how to feel about the Steelers still, because it comes down to, is quarterback play going to be enough? A random Mike Williams player that's been in the league for 7-8 years, is he moving the needle? No. I mean, honestly, people should be concerned that, like, Hopkins went to the Chiefs and then he looked awesome last night. That's not what people need. We don't need the Chiefs getting better. How is that even possible? Like, I thought Derrick Henry going to the Ravens, he's been such a great player for them. Knock on wood. Derrick Henry got me a fantasy championship. Nothing but love for you, brother. I hope you get a Super Bowl ring. Don't care if it's for the Ravens. A lot of Steelers fans can hate me. Whatever. I hope that he stays healthy. I'd rather have the Ravens win than the Chiefs. I'm tired of them. And them getting Hopkins when their passing game has been so bad. And then even Baker gets him the 2 point, like at the end of the game. They tie it up. Go for 2. I know that's been discussed everywhere, so people are probably tired of it. But just go, like, coaching. Why go to overtime? Because it's a coin flip. Although maybe that will finally get them to go to more of a college role. I would almost rather see them, I mean, with field goals being, forever now? Right? Dudes are hitting 61-yard field goals. Isn't that what the Lions guy hit?
Yeah.
It's like, all right, what are we doing here? Go at the 50-yard line. Each team gets a turn. If it's still tied, then whatever. Like, go back and forth like college from the 50. 1 sack, and you're done. You don't even have to punt it or whatever. Actually, what they should do to make it even more fun, start at the 50, and then if you're the second team, you can pick to start at the 50 or take it where the ball ended up. So, like, let's say the offense gets it, you sack them 3 times, and they're all the way down to your 20. You take over there, kick a field goal, and win. Why start at the 50 if you got them negative 30, right? If they drive down to like the 20 and miss a field goal, then you can opt to take it at the 50 and then get your fair start, and hopefully just need a 10-yard completion and a field goal try and you win. That would take time away, right? That would shorten the game. And then that would add a little bit of people always saying like, well, whoever gets it second, so that still keeps the field, like the coin flip, to be a factor. Because some weirdos are like, can't get rid of the coin flip. Why not? well, you know. If you get rid of the coin flip, then it's not going to be like the same. Because even the what was it? The onside kick at the end of one of the games, they were complaining about it, and they were saying like, let's just put the offense out there. And I agree. Because you have to announce that you're doing the onside kick, and the element of surprise has been so good and so fun that by taking that out, it just doesn't make any sense, right? So I would rather have the punt formation. Like, not even a fourth down. Just do a punt, field goal every time. Right? Just do a punt. Get rid of the kickoff completely. Do a punt, and then that way the guy can just run, make it be 4th and 15 or whatever they said was fair. Make it 4th and 20. Because that way, if a guy's going to trick it, it at least has to kind of be set up. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, once I kick, the conversion percentage is like low. It's like 5% or something, they said. And the whatever game I was watching, I can't remember which game it was, but the guy kicked that perfect kick. I think it was the Vikings. And then like their dude came up and made the catch. Like, was it Jefferson, like the best guy? And it was right after Collinsworth or whoever was talking, saying, I want the best guys on the field at this moment. And it's like, yeah, Jefferson caught the ball. He's the best guy. What are you talking about? You just saw it. He could have got killed when he jumped up to catch that ball. But another tidbit from that game, I don't know if you saw it, but Addison, he introduced himself as Pitt USC. And I thought, oh my God, are we going to start this now? What if a dude traveled from like 4 different universities? Like some miracle Uyunglele gets in there. He's like Clemson, Oregon State, Florida State. It's like, all right, buddy. How many are you gonna fit in there? Because some guys play forever.
Yeah.
Like that Miami guy, he's like on year 9. Whatever. What if he makes it and he has to announce himself? Because I noticed like Russell Wilson still says NC State, I think, which kind of shocked me. One of the Steelers games I watched, because I thought people know him more from Wisconsin. I know he has love for NC State. I think it's been opened more where I don't even know if he goes around Wisconsin too much. They've kind of cleaned house with Luke Fickell, but NC State embraces him still, especially because the baseball side. I think it's NC State has the same coach, maybe. So that's kind of been opened back up. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember. But I know that like he said it the other day, and I thought, oh, that's cool, touting NC State. But I don't know what else the NFL can do to make the game more seamless. Like there's going to be change. I don't know. Trade deadline didn't do it for me because all that happened where the Chiefs got better. No one wants that. Anything you want to? Anything that stood out to you from the trade deadline?
I mean, it wasn't even from the trade deadline, but I just the Hopkins to Kansas City, like it almost follows the same theme of why would you trade with Kansas City knowing that they already have a pretty set up roster for success, that like now you're like completely screwing over all the other teams. So it's giving them more weapons and a clear run to potentially get to the Super Bowl again.
Yeah, that's where I mean, I could see it coming from like the NFC where you really don't care, but Tennessee, you would hope that you're not out of it at this point. I would think.
Yeah, but like with Tennessee, like you're going to have to see them. You're going to have to see Kansas City in the playoffs. And now, not only do you have to worry about the other weapons, now you also have the receiver that you already had on your team.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know what their train of thought was. Like, well, good riddance.
Have fun on your Super Bowl winning team.
Yeah, unless they had like a backroom deal, like get your Super Bowl and come back with us. But even then, like, okay, did I say that? Like, why would you do that? Like, I don't understand it. I'm tired of the Chiefs and the NFL. Like, I feel like I'm saying like too much today. They're having way too many pushes that are just annoying me recently. I can't take it. I hate watching the Panthers take up one of my TV slots. Dumb. Panthers are so horrible. I don't want to watch any of their games. I feel bad for the local team people that are fans, but like not growing up around here. Like I always liked the Panthers because we had the same high school mascot. So that's kind of cool. You have just gear you can get like anywhere and wear them. But other than that, Delhomme, that kind of stuff. The new owner is just insane. The stuff that he's been doing. So, nothing. They put Bryce Young in, doesn't really matter. The Saints are just as bad. Like, they beat the Saints, and the Saints had started off so good that they fired their coach, and they were going like, "Hey, hands are tied," and I agreed with them. Like, there's nothing else that they can do. I just don't understand how far they're going to go ahead and be able to take it with Derek Carr. Did you see the stuff he was going through from like Michael Thomas?
A little bit.
Calling him out for bad passes leading to like injuries, and Chris Olave. Chris Olave knew he was injured. He could have wore a Guardian helmet. I saw a guy with the Colts that wore one. And
I saw the pass. I saw the pass Olave took that got him hurt on. It was like Tom Brady was kind of like trash. It's like, yeah, see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, you don't throw it so that
Tom Brady
he gets hurt.
They called out because what was the play? It was officiating, and he said, "I don't love the call." That's all they said. And then there was a controversy, like, should he lose his ownership because he said he didn't love the call? He didn't go on a 5-minute rant against the officiating. Like, he can't say anything? He on TV, the guy on TV is supposed to say what people at home are thinking. In most cases, like, oh, yeah, you got to turn it around. That's why I kind of like Joel Klatt. He seems to me to be the most balanced and fair of the commentators from what I've heard, where he kind of, the Penn State game, which we'll talk about a little bit later, he was kind of like, what's Penn State doing? Like, he just wanted a good game, right? And that's what I feel like Tom Brady has been doing. A little bit annoying for me because he seems like he's always on Cowboy games. He has to hate it, right? Why does he always put on the Cowboy games? But when he did, was it the Packers Lions he was doing? I think it was. I thought he did a pretty good job. And obviously I'm looking for like a little bit of the bias towards the Packers side, but the Packers weren't playing that good. And so I didn't mind Tom Brady, but him coming out and making a comment about the officiating, I think everyone should do it. And like I said, there should be some type of review process for some of the officiating and the bad calls, and they should have to answer. Like, they should have to interview on it. They're getting paid 6 figures or whatever to officiate. People pretend like, I think the NFL likes having, and not even NFL, college too, I think they like having a cloud of mystery over it. But these guys are getting paid approximately like a 6-figure translation, right, to do all their stuff. So those guys, it's not like random high school official getting $30 to come down. Yeah, that guy doesn't deserve to take the flack. His job should be keeping the game going and nothing crazy. And if he makes a bad call, then you give the other team a makeup call. That's unwritten though, right? That's what I look for. Sometimes I see it, I'm like, yeah, that's a makeup call. The guy knew he messed up. That's his way of saying I messed up. But I think if you're making big time salary and you're screwing gambling lines up and stuff for some of these games, you need to answer a little bit. What was the one? Michigan played Oregon. It wasn't NFL, but the receiver dropped the ball in the end zone. They gave him a touchdown. They didn't review it. They didn't flag it down from the booth. They said that they got the TV angle late. Too late. They had already kicked the field goal. Doesn't matter. It's a drop touchdown. Who cares if he kicked it? Just stop it. Blow it dead after. Like, Michigan lost by more than a touchdown, so it didn't matter in the end. But what if that was a playoff game? You give the guy a touchdown for dropping the ball? It was not even 7 seconds. Like, they cut into the commercial break, I think, to come back and say that he dropped it. And then they were like, oh, yeah, but they're not doing anything. They're just going to keep it. If it's that egregious, you have to do something. And so that's where, like, some of the NFL stuff, I don't care if Tom Brady's calling it out, because someone has to call it out. Otherwise, it just seems like I'm listening to the company man, and I'm not going to tune into him then. They already have enough company men. Collinsworth, Tirico. Yeah, these are the guys. Kirk Herbstreit's dog. This is what I want to hear from every week. Going back on mute. Tell me what the guys are wearing. Fire, Matt. Straight fire. But is that all the NFL stuff I have? You have anything you want to talk about for the NFL?
I thought I was highly expecting more production out of Jameis this week. With his big win last week, I thought he's going to get Cleveland rolling because they always like give him such a hard time with his like mentioning his time in Tampa Bay, and he's just like, I had to have LASIK, like I couldn't even see.
I saw that just the NFL with teams like that and quarterbacks that are floating around, it's just going to be tough. The Chargers, I don't know what to think because Harbaugh's there, and of course they're going to be better coached than what the Browns are right now. I don't think you can really put it all on Jameis.
No,
but the Browns are a mess, a disaster. So I don't know what to think of the Chargers. Harbaugh was complaining that Herbert doesn't get the calls that other quarterback gets, and he's probably right. Because he's almost like the next Phillip Rivers. You're just there for the Chargers, you're a solid QB, and people kind of just overlook them because no one cares about the Chargers. On the East Coast, I never see any Chargers gear ever.
Well, I don't think they helped their situation by transferring from San Diego.
Yeah, because San Diego was nice, and that's like a nice beach town. Why would you want to go to L.A.? No one survives in L.A. No one survives there. So, I don't know.
I mean, there's a reason the Raiders went back and forth there multiple times.
And even the Astros, aren't they getting ready? Or not the Astros, the A's. They're getting ready to do whatever from Oakland, up and down. No one cares there. It's too expensive even. They were talking about Michigan basketball's new coach. Michigan basketball looked great. And he was saying how, well, yeah, the fans aren't in attendance. It's like attendance is expensive. They're talking about increasing the price for Michigan football. The feedback from me was, are you insane? I don't even want to watch the game on TV. You want me to pay to go and do parking and a bunch of other annoying things to watch us lose? That's what pro sports is half the time on average, right? In college, if you're a fan of a big team that recruits better, you can expect, oh, we're going to have a winning season pretty much every year. And if you don't, then heads should roll. In the NFL and like pro, it's supposed to be balanced out that unless you're a fan of like the Yankees or the Dodgers, there's a good chance your team ends up around 500 or less. Unless you're on a run with Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady or Ben Roethlisberger even. You have a generational quarterback. The Chargers have that. What they haven't had? Coaching. So in years past, who's buying in to say, yeah, I want to waste my money and my Sundays to watch a team that's not going to make the playoffs? Has to be a hard sell. Has to be. And the funny thing is, NFL keeps raising rates for like Sunday ticket. People don't even want to watch it at home because if you're having to pay for Sunday ticket, that means your team sucks. If you're a fan of a team that's decently good, there's a good chance they're going to be on national TV most weeks. Like the Chiefs, I can watch almost all their games.
Or you're Dallas, you could just stink and just be like, hey, remember in the 90s when we were decent?
Yeah, like some teams, it's good to be Steelers and Packers. I see a lot of their games here on the East Coast. Panthers, I mean, local with the Panthers, I see all theirs if I really want to. I go blind watching them. That's how bad they are. But other teams, if I'm a fan of like the Chargers, want to check and see how Harbaugh's doing, can't watch any of their games. Yeah, they might be better this year. Maybe they're not. Right? How do I know? What am I investing in? I'm not going to pay for a Sunday ticket to see how Harbaugh's doing. It's like a weird thing, like a man checking up on his ex. It's on Instagram. Paying for OnlyFans or something. Bro, that's what it's like. Like, oh, I wonder what Harbaugh's up to. Oh, I'm not going to watch that. What am I, putting myself through the paces? I can't take it. So, I just don't understand how some fans are just giving money to these teams. It's almost insane. Even some of the smaller ones like Pro Soccer down here, because they started to reach out to me. I went to that game. They're like, you want a season package? Here's how expensive it is. And I thought, man, I could do a ton of other things than go and sit outside and watch a half-empty stadium. I get the corporate sponsorship buys a lot of tickets, and that's what supports the team. I had more fun at the Mudcats, and they're moving because they can't get people closer, right? They're going to move further away from me. They were closer at the time. I'd rather have got a season package. I think maybe next year might be the last year. Maybe I will get a package just to have it for 1 year. Give me something to do, and then when they move away, you're like, all right, later. not Brave affiliated, but I was really hoping that the Rays, there was rumors that they might be able to play their games in Durham. And I thought that's a hell of a deal if they pull that off. I'd make it a point to go see like 10 games. I'd probably try to get like a 10-game package just to show like maybe 10 or what is Pirates had like 10 or 20 game packages, just to show even if you don't go that there could be fan support here. Durham's further from me than like what Raleigh would be. Like downtown, it'd be so easy to get to Raleigh, but Durham's a little bit of a drive, especially on traffic, you know. But there's tons of people here. They don't get anyone to come watch them in Tampa Bay. Then why are they in Tampa Bay? Why are they there? They're trying to move. They already have the minor league thing. Just swap them. A lot of fans, everyone I talk to is like so enamored by the delegation thing. Whatever, I think it's relegation. From like the Premier League, where soccer teams that stink, they can get pushed down. And I think a lot of it is college football fans, because I've talked to a lot of college guys just naturally, right? And they're always like, man, you imagine if we could just get rid of Rutgers? And I'm like, what if it's you? What if we get rid of your team? Random Illinois fan? Like, you think Illinois is untouchable? What are you talking about? You guys stink. I know you beat Michigan this year for the first time. Your highlight was from 1924. It's the 100-year anniversary of a win over Michigan. That's what you guys are celebrating in weird black and white, where my eye was going crazy because they had the films thing on. It was like flickering. I thought I was going to have a seizure. That's your celebration. You don't think you're going to be pushed down to the lower league? When's the last time you beat Michigan and Ohio State like in the same year? Never? 1920? So fans that are like into that, I'm always questioning, because you don't know. Florida State, last year they probably would have been into it. Not so much this year. The Tampa Bay, yeah, just switch them. You already have a minor league system. Switch the city around. If it doesn't work out, guess what? Switch them back. I'm not even saying like keep the mascots the same. Just make the Durham Bulls the Tampa Bulls, and they're the AAA team, and they play in Tampa in that same stadium. Win-win. Unless their rights are up or whatever for that stadium. And then you have them playing Durham. If it doesn't work out, guess what? Flip back to Tampa. No one cares. No one cares. Unless you're the Yankees or one of the top teams, no one's caring about the Rays. Right? What's the difference? MLB owns all the minor league teams now. They could spearhead this, where just rotate them. Durham's big enough, and some of the ones, like someone has a minor league team in Charlotte. Charlotte's big enough where you could switch the city. Like, could you imagine if MLB stepped in, and they're never going to do this, but like they let Mark Cuban own the Pirates or something, and then Mark Cuban's like, we're going to rotate the Pirates between, they're still going to be the Pittsburgh Pirates, but they're going to rotate between, I don't even know what other city, like Pittsburgh and somewhere else. And then that's going to be how we get more fans in the stands. So when they do play in Pittsburgh, it's more of an occasion. Instead, because they keep talking about, let's not do 162 games. We're not getting the fans. Why have one home city? Why not have 2 or 3? Like Tampa Bay could split up the Rays. They could have half their games in Tampa, half their games in Durham. 2 home stadiums. Some of these guys, even if you're an away team, you're a Phillies guy, you play the Mets and the Braves how many times every year? You're there for a long time. They're practically like another home game for you. You've been there so often. What's the difference? Right?
Yeah.
Adding an extra home stadium gives you a little bit of an advantage. Like NFL could do it with the teams in London or whatever. Instead of doing half your games, just do everyone has a second home base in a foreign country and then do it in what? Niners were in like Mexico. If a team doesn't want to do it, then they don't do it. But if a team wants to, and some of the teams that complain about revenue, like the Pirates, oh, we don't have enough to make payroll. Have 2 cities then. The Expos? They would have a natural one, Washington. They go back up to Montreal for a couple games every year. Even if it's not a big stadium, I'm sure they have a stadium in Montreal that they could use. That's my end pro rant. Because I don't even know why I just thought of that on the show. It's because it's election day. Everything's up for vote. That's what I would want to see. Like, include me. There's no baseball in North Carolina, the pro baseball. But there could be. There's like a bazillion minor league teams. They could very easily, they already have it. Like if the Brewers decided and said, hey, you know what? If the Rays don't want to do it, if we're just going to have a place in Raleigh, like I know I'm a Braves owner. If the Brewers were like, hey, we're going to be it, I'd say like, all right, I'm in. I'll cheer for the Brewers. If you come down and play in Raleigh for like 30% of your games a year, I'd start rocking Brewers gear around. Like have like just a separate, what they have, they had a microbrews. It was like a separate logo that they had. That was kind of cool. It was like a mini brew and it's kind of funny, right? Because they're the Brewers and everyone's into like microbrewing. So that would be cool. Like I'd cheer for them if the Raleigh microbrews or whatever. Awesome. That's what I want to see. And it could happen in today's day and age. It's horrible weather in Milwaukee. Unprecedented rain for a week. Oh, we're just relocating the game to Raleigh. Awesome. Like the Braves and Mets, they had that issue at the end of the year, right? To get in the playoffs. Oh, hey, we're going to go to our other home. I mean, the Braves' old home was like what? The Milwaukee Braves, the Boston Braves. So it doesn't always work because they already have teams there. They have to pick a new. Like they, I'm not even going to say. I'll tell you off the air what else. But that's all I have. Anything else you want to talk about pro sports? Because I went on a little rant there. I know the Yankees lost. That was good. Did you see that play where the guy didn't try to run to first base? Yanks were up 5-0, I think. 5th inning, and the ball was hit to the first baseman. Garrett Cole, the old Pirate, didn't run to first base to cover. And Rizzo just caught the ball, and he was like lollygagging too. And the guy beat it out. And the Dodgers scored like 5 runs that inning to take the lead or to come back, and then they took the lead and won. Embarrassing. A normal play. To end the inning, it was 2 outs. Like I think the next guy hit a double or something, scored a couple runs, and then it was on. Let the Dodgers get right back into it, and then they crushed them. In the series, it was like 4-1 or something like that. I don't remember. Could have been the whole series, but anything else you had for pro?
I thought with Cole not covering, I was like, oh my goodness, that's such a fundamental thing that.
Oh, then he tried to hold out for more money. Did you see that? And then a day later, he was like, "No, I'm going to stick to my original deal." It should have been like the Charlie Kelly from It's Always Sunny, where you had the picture of Bruce Jenner as the resume. All they had to do was have the picture of him not covering. And he's like, "Here, I'm here to negotiate." And they just hand it to him. And don't say a word. And he's like, "All right, I'll stick to my original deal." And he just gets up and walks out. That would have been the end of it, right? I hope that's how it happened. I hope that's how it happened. Hey, I need more money. No, here's a picture of you. It's the World Series, dude. It's an elimination game. In no way should you be lollygagging on 2 outs. Insane. Getting into college, though, Pitt choked once again. Maybe their rating in like the teens is bad. But I'm telling you, dude, SMU, with their money being thrown around, I've been saying they're going to be a scary team in the ACC. They might not have the talent yet, but if they're able to sneak into the playoffs, I think they're one of the first 2 teams out this week. Doesn't matter, right? Just win the ACC and it's over. And even Miami friends of ours were like, oh, SMU, Miami has a great chance against them. If Miami loses to them, that'd be the most fitting thing ever. SMU in the league for 1 year and they win the ACC championship. Because they don't play Clemson and Clemson lost, so they're done. It's basically, I don't have I'll bring up the standings to confirm. But I think right now, SMU has the tiebreaker over Pitt. Remember I said that they had to play, oh no, Clemson only has 1 loss. Crap, I was thinking they had 2 in conference. Wait, is that right? Yeah, they're 2 overall. So maybe SMU does have to beat them. No, they don't play them. That's what it was. So SMU has Boston College, Virginia, and Cal. They went out, they're in. Clemson has a loss. Miami doesn't play them. Miami has to play Georgia Tech, Wake Forest, and Syracuse. There's a good chance that both those teams win out, and that's it. Clemson losing to Louisville is killer. They play Virginia Tech, then they play Pitt, and that's it. So Pitt could redeem themselves and get into a spot where they hope that, Miami loses? But even then, I don't even know how they pick. Because Pitt would be tied with Miami. It could be it could be a 3-way tie. Either way. If Miami and SMU end up losing 1 game and Pitt or Clemson win out, it could be a 3-way tie with 1 loss. I don't know how they get in. Does SMU get the bump if they beat Pitt and they're the 3rd team tied? How do they separate them? I know it's probably opponent winning percentage.
Yeah.
So I would assume that most likely that would probably be SMU and Miami playing. And Pitt would be out because of the head-to-head to SMU. At least that's how it always worked out against Michigan in their favor when they always had the loss to Ohio State. And they're like, oh, see, you lost a tiebreaker. It doesn't matter this year, but I'm wondering, SMU makes the playoffs. All their boosters that weren't able to spend all that money for decades, right? Big money, oil money. Couldn't spend it in the playoffs. A&M, been spending the money. Doing nada, right? Take my prediction. I've said it all along. If SMU gets in the playoffs and they're in, and A&M watches Oregon go into Big Ten, win the Big Ten in the first year, they're overall number 1 right now. A&M's making less money in the SEC than the Big Ten's making. Big Ten reigning national champs Michigan could be back-to-back champs with Oregon winning 1 as it stands right now if things hold serve. Don't be surprised if A&M makes that call and you get a Texas team in the Big Ten. You're not going to, if you're competing against Texas now and Oklahoma and all these teams in the SEC, it's harder to win. People think there's going to be a clear, SEC and Big Ten are going to merge. Why? Why would they do that? SEC does not want teams like Indiana and Northwestern in it. The Big Ten doesn't want to go to Mississippi and play Mississippi State and Ole Miss. Like, that's a fact. They just don't. Like, there's nothing in common with them. So you could combine all them, and then people talk about, well, maybe we can get rid of some of those schools. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about, maybe if we combine them and we drop Rutgers and Mississippi State, we could bring in Florida State and maybe like someone else. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'll never happen. You have to have that. It seems like some type of collusion. The Big Ten poaching teams at it once, that makes 100 times more sense than anything that the SEC is throwing out there. Because the SEC is so regional right now. The Big Ten has state schools from the major states all across the country. California, check. Illinois, Chicago, check. Near New York, check. Oh, the biggest team in Ohio, check. Biggest team Pennsylvania, check. Biggest team in Michigan, check. Iowa, Wisconsin, almost all the big states, Oregon, Washington, even out west. All they have to say is like A&M, come on over. Now, Texas might follow them, but you can't tell me that Texas hasn't had conversations with the Big Ten in the past. They're both AAU members. A&M's probably going to be like, well, if Texas follows us here, that's different. But all the Big Ten has to do is say like, oh, hey, this is a proposed division. We're trying to like split our divisions up. And our
A&M may not even want to be in a spot to move. Like, they're starting to win more in the SEC that maybe they just say, we're just going to go toe-to-toe with them.
But
take the money and run.
If they don't get in the playoffs, I'm telling you, the Big Ten slides across a proposed division that says Iowa, Nebraska, Wisconsin, Northwestern, Illinois. And they're like, look who you're playing now. LSU, Oklahoma, Texas. You can't think like, oh, the Big Ten division's harder. They have to say, oh my God, we would win this division. we would have to. If the Big Ten says, hey, you guys look like you're down. You're spending a bunch of money. You're in the SEC. You're losing favorable matchups. You're not winning ever. Like, you could get in. They might not even get into the championship game now. They're not beating Georgia. That'd be a miracle upon miracles. But if the Big Ten has their projection where they have the West Coast division with Oregon and USC, they have the Lakes division with Ohio State and Michigan, and they have the East with Penn State and possibly like a Florida State. And they say, look, we need someone else in the Midwest. We need a program. Nebraska ain't it. We found that out. But we really want to be in the state of Texas. And A&M, this is your chance to step up with the big dogs. You can be the face of, what would they call it? It would be like the pure Midwest or whatever. Like, hey, here you go. This is your chance. If you can't beat Illinois every year, then doesn't matter. But the competition in the SEC is so much that their 8-game schedule, I still think, is going to hurt them. Same with the ACC only having an 8-game schedule. It's kind of worked out to the Big Ten's favor that, hey, they have a lot of weak teams, and they have a 9-game schedule. It's inflating records for Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State. Michigan's down this year, yeah. Guess who stepped up? Indiana. They're inflated. They're undefeated. Heck, they might only end up with one loss. Are they going to make the playoffs? There's a real chance right now that Indiana can make the playoffs before A&M has. All you have to do is say, hey, Indiana's been here. You guys can't compete with Indiana. Are you kidding me? It's not like A&M can look around at the SEC and say, oh, remember when Missouri? No. Remember when Ole Miss? Oh, no, wait, they didn't make it that year either. What about Mississippi State? Oh, they didn't make it either. South Carolina? Oh, no. It's always the big SEC schools that have made it. Where if this expanded Big Ten's like, oh, we're getting Indiana in, brother. We have no one in the Midwest to help balance us out. You can't play all the top teams every year. They need some Midwest. That's why I said they have to be, at least if they're not asking Florida State, they're insane. They have to have some East Coast balance. And if they're waiting for Notre Dame, that's fine. Let Notre Dame be the Midwest pillar. But I don't think they want to be in the Midwest. I think they would rather be in the East with Penn State. So what the heck? If they add Notre Dame instead of Florida State, I'd be kind of disappointed because I want Michigan to be able to get into Florida recruiting. If they added Florida State and A&M, you're now in, what, all 5 of the biggest football states? California, Texas, Florida. I guess they wouldn't be in Georgia. Add Georgia Tech. And then you're in like Ohio, and then Pennsylvania, Michigan. Like, you're in most of the big time states. Big Ten would be the only conference that's in them.
Well, see, in Florida State's, I think they're just padding their resume for the Big Ten because they can be like, look, we don't have to compete right away. We'll let you beat on us as part of our entrance.
Maybe that's why they're choking this year. Part of their resume, like, look, we don't care if we lose.
They're like, I know you're worried about us coming in and just winning the conference right away. Like, we'll ease into it.
I know Oregon, man. I was thinking for sure that's what's going to happen. Ohio State's going to beat them, and then their fans' heads are going to explode. Like, what in the world? These guys again? Because Penn State, come on. The play calling, are you serious? 3 runs up the middle where a lineman is in motion. Did you see that series?
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude, do anything. Even I watched Klatt break it down too, because he was thinking the same thing I'm thinking. Where's your tight end? You waited till 4th down to run that out to him that was clearly covered, when all you had to do was tell Allen, hey, bro, Ohio State is crashing down. Run to the pylon. They did it on all 3 downs. They had no contain. All you had to do, I know he's not Blake Corum, bro. He can't kick it with a Barry Sanders type juke to get out there. Jump cut it. No, I don't care. Hey, we saw it on the film. You get in the quarterback's ear and you have the head thing. Say, dude, we're gonna run the same play. Tell Allen to kick it. They're crashing everybody down. It's an easy score. If he can't outrun their guy, then what the hell? Tell him he won't play next game. Okay. All right. Got it. Boom. They had no one in the booth. They ran the same play 3 times. He ran into the pile 3 times. I don't know what they were thinking. Even run a read option and have the quarterback keep it. Ohio State had no contain. None. And then if you lose because it was tied, then you lose. But that was 100% on coaching. And then they let Ohio State just run the ball down their throat and then run the clock out. And they're still ranked 6th. I just don't know what to think of them. Send that tape to A&M. Say, this you? You want to be ranked high every year like Penn State? They don't even lose in the conference. It's insane because their schedule's so weird. Like, A&M, look at the schedule. You can't win that? How much money are you guys spending? Give me a break. Teams have to have a schedule like that. That's why I think Florida State, they have to be licking their chops. They look at Penn State's schedule and they think, well, even this year. I was reading about NC State, and in the middle of the article, they had to dig at Florida State being like the only team that sued their conference only to go 1-7 after saying they're too good for them. But you have to think that's a fluke.
Well, part of it is that's a fluke of what's going on right now. And I think when you look for how many 1-win teams are drawing the TV ratings that Florida State is with the random like evening, afternoon games that they're getting. It's like they're still people are still tuning in to watch them get their teeth kicked in.
I know where you are on the disappointment scale, because I used to be that guy, Matt, texting about how good a former quarterback is doing in the NFL, talking about TV ratings, talking about recruiting rankings. And meanwhile, during the games on Saturday, you're like, I don't even want to watch this.
Well, the benefit right now is that my kids are involved in so much more stuff that I can kind of bypass the train wreck. I'm like, well, I got to be out with my kids, so I know there's nothing worth watching at home.
Well, that's why people are saying, like, do you really want Florida State in the Big Ten? They could disrupt the conference. I mean, Texas was disrupting their conferences. They're in the SEC. I mean, if all it takes is one domino from the SEC to fall, A&M being shoved on never on TV to getting pushed to the Big Ten, they leave. What does the SEC fill them with? Like I said, the Big Ten's already making more money. You get them into one of the biggest states in the country and add that to the Big Ten network, it doesn't matter. Like, it's over.
But I almost wonder, like, if you're the SEC or the Big Ten, do you fill a spot? Like, I think they've cherry picked for the most part the ones that they want, with the exception of like a Florida State, a Clemson, a Notre Dame. Like, they have the ones that they want. That if those schools already are in discussions, if they're not moving forward, and a school like Texas A&M wants to leave, it's like, do you feel the need to necessarily fill
Well, that's where I think they have to play the long game because there's still a lot of old money floating around. So, like for them, the Big Ten to say, "Hey, we're going to invite Clemson right now," I don't think it's happened, and even Florida State because they can get them at any time. Right now, if the Big Ten wants to be a power player, they either have to merge with the SEC, or ESPN's going to keep picking away at the Big Ten and trying to like choke them down or do whatever. But with the Big Ten has 3 networks bidding for them. CBS didn't even want to bid for the SEC. I see, what was the guy, Clay? What's that guy's name? That's like the Tennessee guy. He's always on everything on Fox. I can't remember his last name now.
Clay Travis.
Clay Travis, yeah. So he's been talking about how the CBS has to be regretting their decision. Maybe not. They paid less for the Big Ten, I think, and they're still getting solid ratings. They told the SEC, like, we don't care. You're a regional conference. Like at this point, if the TV networks aren't in, like Fox, NBC, CBS, they're all in on the Big Ten. They're not in on anybody else. Like Fox picks up a couple games here and there of like the Big 12 or whatever, knowing that like, hey, this is our B game most times. Oh, what is that? Deion Sanders there? He's doing pretty good. We'll show a bunch of his games. That's a win-win for them. They're barely paying for those, and they're getting killer ratings. If the SEC, if those other conferences, like how's the SEC going to come back and say, hey, we want some of those? And CBS is like, all right, well, what game are you going to give us? And they say, well, we're going to give you Missouri and South Carolina. Why are they going to take that? A random Ohio State and a random Michigan game is going to make more than, or get more viewers than like what those other ones are. They can't show Georgia and Alabama every week because that's what ESPN's paying for. So there has to be some type of big draw from some of the other schools in the SEC. And yeah, they get it when they're playing those other big schools, but there just aren't that many big time games to go around. And when they're beating each other up, I've said this before, you can't just only bring a conference of the top teams because fans of like A&M and whatever Auburn's in there, if they're perpetually going 6-6, their fans are going to stop caring. Only psychos like Nebraska fans watch religiously when their team's winning 3 games. You have to be a real sicko to want to watch that. So you giving them an out where you can say, hey, we already have the best teams or the biggest teams from each state. We're like a nationwide conference. We just need into Texas or we just need into Florida. And I'm wondering if I've heard, and you can take this with a grain of salt or whatever, I've heard that the Big Ten is prioritizing Texas because they think that's the bridge. Yeah, they've been looking at Florida and like Clemson and them, but right now travel's an issue. Some of those Midwest teams are kind of on an island. Let's say, what are they at, 18? What if they just filled out with Utah and Texas A&M? Heck, I've heard that TCU's on the table. The Big Ten would 100% take A&M over TCU. But there's not that many Texas teams that are left, right? Heck, TCU might even give them a sweetheart deal like SMU gave ACC where they don't even have to pay them because they're private. That's a win for SMU. Heck, they're not even paying them. They're paying the ACC schools to whip their asses. Right? Hey, Pitt, come on down. We're paying you for this privilege. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm looking at that and I'm saying, get it in the Midwest then. Like, get Texas. That would be such a hit to the SEC because that's where the SEC's expanded. If you get a Texas school and you get most of the West, no, the SEC can't compete with that. Taking Washington State and Oregon State, it's already been shown that they don't draw enough. There's nowhere for the SEC to go. Unless they can poach a big school, which they've tried to poach Michigan and Ohio State, and they haven't budged. If Michigan didn't budge last year with all the bullshit the Big Ten was throwing at them, I mean, heck, I was ready to go independent, bro. but win the Natty, give the AD an award. The award for Michigan's AD had to have been for getting Harbaugh out of town, right? Like, hey, get rid of Harbaugh and all the troubles go away. No one's even talking about Michigan's investigations or anything anymore. They're like, oh, you guys are losing. Harbaugh's gone. All right, it's all right. Keep your trophy, right? No one's talking about, hey, they're going to get their trophy taken away. Yeah, no one cares anymore. They'll point to it. The Big Ten needs that, right? They have to have some type of championship. You can't be a conference of big schools and big states and then lose every year. Hey, great work, guys. That's why Michigan basketball looks like so fire that I thought, man, if Michigan basketball wins a national championship and they are leading the Big Ten, that's why I hope if the Big Ten loses the national championship this year, it'd be funny that Michigan's the only one like carrying the weight of the conference. If Oregon wins it, that would be insane because I don't think any conference member has joined a new conference only to win it. Did Florida State do it when they did the ACC?
I don't think.
Because I don't know what year Penn State joined the Big Ten. They went undefeated. They didn't get the national championship, though. I mean, there's been some teams that like have the immediate bump. But I don't think anyone's really been able to pull that trigger. So, Oregon, not looking good for you guys. You're bound to choke. It'll probably be Georgia again. Like, hey, A&M, come on over. We need you. You can lose a Georgia national championship game. That's what all our teams do. Why lose to them here? Why lose to them in the regular season? Come on up, bro. Yeah, you can lose to Ohio State, but that's really it. Look at did you send me those recruiting rankings or did I post them? I think we have them. This will be my last thing here. They had the recruiting rankings up. It's Alabama, Ohio State, LSU, Georgia, Auburn, Texas, Tennessee, and Oregon. So A&M's 9th. They're what? They're 7th in the SEC. If they were in the Big Ten, they would be 3rd. Michigan would be 4th. They'd instantly be a contender. They're 2 behind Oregon. It's really Ohio State and then that's it right now. Yeah, Michigan's made it work with the top 10 or like right around the 10, 12 recruiting ranking, but that was with Harbaugh. He's a hell of a coach. He's probably Hall of Fame material. They don't even have Big Ten championship material coaching right now. So throw them out. Penn State chokes in the biggest games. Throw them out. They're 15th. USC's 12th. A&M, like, hey, guys, we put you in a Midwest pod. You're the leader. In fact, who would even be in that division? If Notre Dame doesn't join, they would have their top-ranked competition would be Nebraska at 24. You'd be favored to win every year, A&M. Every year. Right now, you have Texas ahead of you, LSU ahead of you, just in teams that are in your proximity that you're probably going to play no matter what. 2 teams already ahead of you. In the Big Ten, you'd be the top dog in the Midwest. Same with like, hey, Florida State, you're ranked 23rd or whatever right now. And I know that's only for next year. Florida State's usually up there a little bit higher. Penn State's 15th. That's your competition. Leave Michigan and Ohio State there. Leave Oregon and USC battling it out in the West. Like maybe that would force Nebraska to up their game a little bit more. Bringing in A&M that's outspending them. But you say, look, we just need a pod leader. It could be you. Otherwise, even if we add TCU, they're 26th. They're right around Nebraska level anyway. That's still going to be by far the weakest section of the Big Ten.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they pitched Texas it, and Texas decided to go to the SEC with Oklahoma. Maybe they could get Oklahoma. Oklahoma's been stinking. They have to have buyer's remorse. Lincoln Riley got out of there. He even said that you guys are going to regret this. You could pitch A&M in Oklahoma and say, guys, come to Nebraska's division in the Big Ten. Get like the old kind of Big Eight back together, Southwest, whatever A&M. I don't even know. A&M was in their weird conferences with Texas all the time. That would be the conference shift. That's my random note. That's the last thing I'm going to talk about. Anything you want to talk about else?
No, that's it.
I mean, Michigan's been getting destroyed. It's all 100% coaching. It's a shame that Michigan has one of the best defensive lines of all time, and they're going to maybe make a bowl game. Like, it is insane how good the defensive line is, and everything else is complete crap because of coaching. The defensive line that won a national championship just last year, the guys all came back, Matt. That's how good the defensive line is. That's why I said the floor was 8-4. They're falling through the floor. They're falling through it. I don't know how Sherrone Moore gets brought back. His recruiting's been busting up. Apparently NIL boosters are realizing it. He has to clean house. Yeah, Kirk Campbell, even the CBS guys were making fun of the play calling because it makes no sense. They did a worse play. It was 4th and goal. They ran a wide receiver pass reverse that he threw out of bounds, Matt. Penn State was like, they had to watch that and say, look, at least we didn't do that. Right? Insanity. I thought, well, I never would have guessed that was coming, right? I would hope not. You would think that they would have something else. And then they tried to play the quarterback card, and then the quarterback looked pretty good, and guys are open, and the play calling just makes no sense. And Michigan's top running back, he doesn't even get the ball anymore. I don't know what they work on. They said this week after the loss to Oregon that they're going to start focusing on fundamentals. A little late. You're going to get your ass whipped by Indiana. And then that's going to be a wake-up call. Because anytime they call me, they haven't called me for donations since that USC game. Of course, they're not going to call me. I'm going to say, look, what do you call me for? What's up? How's our team looking? What do you want me to say? We look like crap. People just laugh when they bring up Michigan now. They have some integrity. There has to be some coaching changes because it's not even a well-coached team. I don't care what the recruiting is. This is worse than Brady Hoke level.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
Brady Hoke at least had the guys competitive, dude. Until that last year. Remember, they were, when Devin Gardner hurt his knee or whatever, his ankle, he broke his foot or something, and he drove the team down, and they missed a 2-point conversion to upset Ohio State. This team's not even going to sniff that. He has to beat Ohio State to save his job, I think. If you get killed by Indiana, maybe you beat Northwestern. That's 6 wins. You take a team with how many first-round draft picks on defense? You can't. Will Johnson's not even playing. Is he hurt? Is he sitting it out? Is he resting? Like Bosa style? We don't know. I don't know what the heck he's doing. He's not playing. So, that's it. Take my misery. That's why I'm off topic today. Packers lost. Just all around. But let me know what you want to talk about. If you want us to talk about anything, let us know.
And we'll see you next week as long as the world doesn't end.
Yeah. Hopefully Matt's around. doesn't blow off the map. But yeah, thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.